Okay, thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome to this special episode. Today I'm at the heart of Silicon Valley in the Google Expert DevFest Bootcamp podcast, coming to you from MP7 in Sunnyvale at the Google Center event. I'm your host Kevin Blanco, a Google Dev expert and also a senior DevRel advocate at Appsmith, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here today. It's a privilege to have the opportunity to bring some incredible insights from into the world of no-code and low-code. But that's not all. We have a very special guest today, someone whose expertise in this field is unparalleled. Joining us is Christian Schalk, the product manager of AppSheet. Christian, thank you so much for your time. It is a pleasure to have you here. I'd like you to introduce yourself to the audience and let us know what you're working on.
Sure. Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm actually on the team. I'm the outbound AppSheet product management team. I've also been a developer advocate and have played other roles in engineering as well. So happy to be here to discuss low code, no code, give you a little bit of insights of what Google has learned in this space and how I've been working within this space for well over 10 years now. So.
That's great. Thank you for your time and for being here. It is a great environment in this Google DevFest event. Before we go into the technical bits and bytes, I wanted to get an icebreaker so that we get to know each other. So I wanted to know what's your favorite food? Maybe a special dish or some sort of cuisine. What type of food do you like?
Oh, we could be here a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's see. I'll just go down the list here. I like, paella, for example.
Nice.
I love paella.
Spanish paella is the
I
best.
love, and it's funny, I discuss sometimes my friends from different parts of Latin America, they'll say paella, or they'll
Right.
say paella, or paella with an L. So it's
Yeah.
interesting how that's pronounced in different places. And then, of course, there's a whole other list of Indian food, Italian food, Chinese, you name it. So it's all good.
Nice. Yeah, people can get very passionate about how to pronounce a dish or certain
Yep.
words, right?
Exactly. So.
Well, paella is really great. I tasted when I was in Barcelona. Really, really nice dish. So outside of the tech world, what are some of the hobbies or interests that you have?
Music, actually. I've been playing with the Google Symphony Orchestra.
really?
So we put together an orchestra back in, oh my gosh, I think it was 2016. And so we were very small. And then over the years, we've been growing it and doing performances here on campus. There's now another Google orchestra on the East Coast now in New York. And so they've kind of followed our pathway. And so that's one definitely something I really enjoy. I've been playing the trumpet since I was in 5th grade. I play guitar and piano as well. So I keep myself pretty busy on the music side of things as well. So.
Wow. I have to tell that most of the people that I know in the tech industry, they also are in the industry music. It seems that playing an instrument is actually a brain enabler that actually helps you with this tech industry, which requires a lot of good expertise, right? Well, I play the guitar myself as well. Not so many instruments as you do, but I really love to, just grab the guitar sometimes and do
Yep.
some jam here and there.
Yep.
Well, as someone who loves the film industry, actually have a little background in the film industry. I have a film degree, and actually this whole setup that we are here right now, I wish you guys could see it, but it's quite a production that we have here. So I'm really excited about everything that I'm seeing. So a favorite movie from someone tells a lot about a person. So can you tell me what's your favorite movie?
Wow, let's go into all of them. Favorite movie? I can think of many movies again. For different reasons, I could go back to like a lot of the Kubrick movies. I like Stanley Kubrick. When I was a kid, I remember watching 2001: Space Odyssey and was just completely blown away by
mind-blowing.
just like the effects that they had put out in 1968, no less. And before that, it was like laughable. So definitely, I remember watching some of those early movies with my dad, and then moving forward, as like the whole Star Wars and all that stuff came out. It was fun to watch those movies as I was growing up as well. So it's probably like in the genre of science fiction, variations of that. I've always been a fan of Steven Spielberg's movies as well.
Spielberg.
So yeah.
Nice.
It's
Perfect.
all good.
That's good
Even
to know.
some of the latest stuff, you catch on streaming. It's always fun to just watch and critique it as well.
Exactly.
So.
I find myself looking at old movies in
Yeah.
a stream platform rather than something new.
Yep.
I don't know, but that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite films, I will say, definitely things from Christopher Nolan.
Oh, yeah, for
But
sure.
one of my favorite films is B for Vendetta. I don't
Oh,
know if
yeah.
you have seen that,
Oh,
but
I saw that one,
it's
of course.
not only incredible from a pre-production and post-production, but also incredible from the way that the main character speaks. I feel that I love the way he speeches and all everything that he say. I mean, it's just heart beating, definitely.
Yep.
All right, so right to the things that we are actually interested here. Now we talk about food, we talk about hobbies, and also some filmmaking and stuff like that. Let's talk about no code and low code. And just to give a sense that here we have Christian and myself, we're both working in that industry. I work at Appsmith, he works at AppSheet. So first of all, let's start by defining what no code and low code is. So can you tell me what your explanation will be about those specific areas?
Sure. I can actually kind of draw from my experience. So literally going back about 10 years ago, within our Google Corp Bench, our internal IT department, there was a need to essentially augment what our internal IT team could build in the form of like technical solutions for the essentially global user population. And so in that sense, there needed to be some sort of a solution to provide a much more efficient way to build, technical solutions. And these typically would be applications to process, things for HR or what have you, just any number of use cases. And so this is where I was like, got inspired because there was some new technology coming around. And so I was happy enough to jump in and help nurture that new technology. And this was back in the early days of low no code, like 10 years ago. But my experience there kind of helped shape my views on it. And I can see that this is a very empowering technology. So meaning like in the traditional way of thinking, whenever you would build a solution, a technical solution, you would always have to go to a professional coding approach. And which is fine, especially for very customized solutions. But there is a long tail of, I would say, smaller to medium-sized business solutions that do not necessarily require a computer science trained developer. Right. What they really need is a subject matter expert who knows their data, and they just want to create something that does X, Y, and Z, and does it very well without having to get mired in a lot of the technology of building that. Right. And so low and no code for me is kind of empowering these subject matter experts to be able to, literally create solutions without having to do the full legwork of doing like traditional software development. Exactly. And I think they each complement each other as well. Because like IT departments, sure, without a doubt, they're going to have custom solutions that they're building from the ground up. And of course, they'll avail themselves to all the SaaS products as well. But for these like customized smaller solutions, there's still kind of like an unserved need. And this unserved need is actually a very large and growing market, as we can see, and the analysts have continued to track this space for a number of years now. And so for me, low and no code boiled down means like empowering subject matter experts or people in the business area, like business developers, to build their own solutions so they can get back to their day jobs as well. Exactly. So it's a very diverse field in that sense. So.
I love your explanation because instead of just going to, oh yeah, it is a platform to build stuff, you actually think about the why. And I think that's something really important because normally we as during your case as a product owner, my case more of a technical background. I kind of focus more on the how, how you do things and what you do. I use this library, I use this framework, but normally we don't focus on the why. And as you grow in your career, you understand that it doesn't really matter what type of tool do you use, as long as you accomplish the why. And in the industry ecosystem, let's say enterprise, they don't really care what's running behind the scenes as long as it's compliant and is achieving their goal. So I think that's really important that as you grow, you focus more on the why. And in this case, no-code and low-code tools actually are enablers, so you can get faster to those whys. Why are we building this? Why are we going with, time to go to market is really important. And with no-code and low-code platforms, you can get to market much faster. So I think that's a really, really great explanation that you gave over there. One of the things that I always talk to developers mostly is when I tell them about no-code and low-code, I see a pushback. Immediately I see a pushback. They say, yeah, it's great for prototyping, it's great for maybe MVPs, but when you really want to go production, I wouldn't use no code. And that's what I call a developer stigma. Sometimes it's even like touching their egos, I feel. So what would you say in that specific matter in terms of the developer stigma? How can you approach this terminology to a developer and explain to them that it's actually good for them instead of having that pushback?
I've seen that as well. And my view on it is, first, it's a complementary technology. It's not meaning to replace anything. And there are some times when it makes sense from a time to deliver, from an economic standpoint, to actually use a low or no code solution to complement or even supplant maybe something that might eventually become a fully developed pro code solution. But because I've actually seen it firsthand where it's like these technologies, low code, no code, can actually fill a necessary gap. If things don't quite line up, boom, you can always go to that. To get on your point of like this little bit of reluctance to get into that space, I view it as more like it's an enabling technology, and it's also more like a tool. So like, why would you use a handsaw if you can use a power saw? Or why would you have a forklift as opposed to picking things up by yourself?
Exactly.
So in that sense, these are just tools that anyone can use, whether you're fully trained in the arts of high degree computer science, or whether you just have a business problem and want to solve it. They each have kind of like their best fits, I would say. So
That's a great approach to that specific area. Cutting right to the chest of AppSheet, definitely there is no low-code platform if there is no data source. Like normally you will look into a platform because you want to showcase data in any shape or form, right? So it's specifically about AppSheet, can you tell us how do you bring your data? Like what type of data sources do you support? How can users enable all of the data that they currently have maybe in Google Sheets or any of the Google Cloud products that they have, and how can that be integrated into AppSheet? And also before this session, we were talking about obviously the Google I/O announcement and how they also mentioned about Do It AI and how can AI enable them to create applications with AppSheet without having to even go to all of that process. So tell us a little bit about data sources, how can you bring your data into this platform, and secondly, a little bit about AI.
Sure. Now, on the data sources, we actually did have another announcement back in Google I/O, where we essentially, this was announced even last year, where we had AppSheet database, which was essentially AppSheet's first integrated database, a native database, and so it's now production. We launched it. We're ramping up the overall capacities and stuff like that. But it's built on, if you know Spanner, it's basically Cloud Spanner directly. So that's one aspect of it. So that addresses one, I would say, small criticism that some of the folks on the outside, where they're used to technologies like this, to having their own built-in database. So that's out there. You're definitely can use it today. Now with Duet AI, and inside of AppSheet, that's another technology that we've been demoing. It's not currently production. It's not GA yet, but you can actually sign up for a preview program to allow listed to actually start to play with it. Now at our Google Cloud Next conference that we just had a few weeks ago, we were actually featured in the developer keynote. There was a lot of attention to Duet AI in the sense that it allows you to chat or describe your application needs, and it will construct both the schema as well as generate a full complete app inside of AppSheet. And it happens to use the AppSheet database as its backing data source. So you're not really in the process of connecting to third-party data sources. Now that is historically how AppSheet has always run. I mean, the typical case would be like, you just use like a spreadsheet in the cloud, like a Google Sheet or an Excel or what have you. And then, of course, AppSheet evolved and started to open up to other data sources like cloud-based SQL databases, and now with BigQuery and things like that, or just going against like Salesforce.com, other types of more business-oriented data sources in that sense. So it's pretty agnostic in that sense. But this year has been actually a very interesting year because it had the launching of the integrated native database with AppSheet, as well as now this new essentially generative AI technology that is now infused into AppSheet that you'll be able to, once it goes public, to be able to just describe your application and continue to tweak it via a chat interface. And there's some other variants, is like it's the ability to actually have that AI integrated into the application itself once it's running. So for example, you can actually talk to an app, say on your phone or whatever, and it can capture your audio and take that and analyze it and say, you want to fill out these different fields on your form. And so in that sense, that just radically simplifies the task of entering data into a typical form. You just talk to it, and then it takes it, analyzes it, and then says, okay, here you go. I'm going to fill out your form based on what you just told me. So that's pretty cool. The technology is truly exciting to be a part of in bringing this out to to the industry as well. So
That's great. And I see no-code platforms and low-code the similar way to AI in the relationship that people were really negative about AI a few years ago. Like when you mention AI to somebody maybe 5 years ago, and I used to work at IBM Watson when AI was not a thing. And you mentioned someone AI, and there were a lot of pushback. And now when you mention AI, everybody's like, "Oh wow, that's great! Yeah, let's do AI." Everybody wants to do AI, and I think that we can also compare in that way with no code and low code. That their developers are pushing back maybe, but they're starting to adopt a lot of these platforms because we see the why that I was mentioning,
yeah.
because it definitely speeds up development.
Yeah,
So it's good to see
it
the
becomes.
integration.
I think a lot of the AI stuff might have been abstract, or people. There's the fear of AI, but then when they see practical applications
Right.
where it's like, oh, just by talking, I can create an application. This is a business solution. Then
Exactly.
it clicks for people to say, oh, okay, now I get it. I think this is a smart, good way to use this technology. It's not in the realm of like ending civilization. It's basically, providing business solutions in that sense. So.
That's great. Now you mentioned enterprise. That's something really important for me because at least at Appsmith, we are really focused on enterprise because, yeah, the community loves our product. It's open source. It's Apache 2.0 license. They can run it pretty much anywhere. But there's definitely the focus on enterprise. We're really looking towards that thing. You mentioned Airbus being one of the companies that you're building things with this type of platforms, in this case AppSheet. Can you tell us a little bit about your enterprise focus and what type of things other enterprise have done with AppSheet? And that way we can see how it's not only a tool for prototyping and MVPing, but also it's definitely enterprise ready.
Oh yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. It's like AppSheet was acquired in January of 2020, but Google has also been building technologies in the same space as well, and I was working on that as well back in the day. But with our partnership, or like essentially collaboration with a lot of our enterprise customers, such as Airbus. There's other ones that come to mind, like Veolia and a whole bunch of other customers,
Nice.
enterprise customers, that they are actually providing very good and I would say critical feedback with regards to certain areas that will continue to shape how these products evolve in the near future. For example, governance, all the administrative capabilities that you would expect at an enterprise level. The feedback that we've been getting in our years-long relationships with these companies have essentially translated into features that make mutually better experience for both the customers and Google in this sense for AppSheet. So to that end, we've had some very specific key feature enhancements that have been, essentially coming from a lot of these enterprise customers. Say, hey, this is great. We understand the value, but if you can do this or that over, and typically these are more on the governance, administrative types of areas where people can manage their data, especially for like multi-regional companies that have different offices globally. Being able to have a product that can span in that sense and keep track of things. And so these are a handful of examples that we've been learning and working with our enterprise customers from a global sense. So.
That's great. And having that feedback right straight from the actual companies it's definitely amazing to
Yeah,
continue growing
it's
the
definitely a
product.
partnership in this regard.
Excellent.
Although they're not a partner in the classical sense, they're definitely a customer, but we treat them in the sense that
yeah, I mean their feedback
it's a collaboration for sure.
Yeah, it's collaboration definitely.
Yep.
So we're getting close to the end here. It's been great, but I wanted you to talk about the Google Development Program, Developer Expert Program, the GTEs.
Yes.
So Google have this this program GTE. I'm a Google Developer Expert in Google Cloud, and out there's tons of them here in the DevFest Bootcamp. But you told me that there's going to be an opportunity for developers to be also a GTEs in the AppSheet field, right next to the
Yes.
workspace.
Yes. Thanks for mentioning that, because this is something that we're in the process of rolling out.
Nice.
Actually, I put out some messages just earlier with regards to if you are interested in becoming a GDE, but you have expertise in AppSheet and WorkSpace, then come talk to us. And so I put out a form. I have the short link for people who have interest in this. Our goal is to start essentially build up a set of people who are experienced in AppSheet and WorkSpace together, and so that they can also help each other and provide for like an overall benefit to the community as well as to the industry as a whole. So that's something that we're rolling out right now, and so we have like a handful of people that are already plugged in. I'm in touch with them. They're like going out and writing blogs, and they're starting to do videos. And so I would say, if you have any interest, I can give you the short link, but basically, yeah, we're more than happy to grow that program and help it complement the larger GDE program as well.
Excellent. We'll make sure to put the link in the description of the video.
Mhm.
Well, Kristen, thank you so much for your time. I know you have a vast trajectory on your background, and I'd like you to let us know about the vision, the product vision, and also your personal opinion around the vision of the no-code and low-code platforms looking ahead in the future.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing now is we're in the mid state. We're learning as basically we've had some successes so far, but I think especially like the later innovations with generative AI or duet AI as it's starting to work its way into technologies such as AppSheet. I think this can only benefit this. I mean, especially benefits this class of end users, like the creators, the AppSheet, the subject matter experts that are building solutions, removing those barriers to actually be able to build the solutions in the most efficient manner. And so that's where like AI kind of solves that gap. It's like, okay,
Right.
it can intelligently interpret what they want to build and essentially put them on the path to 99% completion of the actual technology that they're building. That is what I find most interesting and exciting to be in this space. But yeah, there's still work to be done. And I think in the next few years, we'll see continued evolution in this stuff so it's almost to the point where it's like you have just a very basic idea in your head, and then boom, it's starting to appear
Exactly.
magically and stuff like that. So we're almost there. The getting the brain implant connection that will come a little bit later, but it's
Right.
not far off. So so yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Christian. It's been a great talking to you. And everyone who joined us, thank you so much for your time. The future is looks so bright ahead. Go ahead and create an account in AppSheet, start working with AppSheet, and also go and create an account at appsmith.com. You have all of these tools that you can get started for free and start building things that are production ready. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll look ahead in the future for more sessions. Have a great day.